Hello, I'm Edgar Allan Poe, and welcome to the Poe House. We're going to be bringing you some nice programs, readings from my works, every week from now on. And we hope you enjoy them, and we hope you'll turn in regularly. And I'd really like you to come see my real house on Amity Street in Baltimore. The information's on the screen, and we hope we'll see you there some weekend. And it was very exciting for me that they've recently reopened the Poe House. And I hope you'll have a look at it, and have a look at this also.
Good morning.
It is my pleasure to be here. Doreen, thank you very much for all of your hard work and leadership and being such a strong partner in the arts community. Good morning. I want to thank Courtney Wilson, Kristen. I want to thank you for your hard work. I want to thank the Baltimore National Heritage Area. I heard that Jeff Bouquet was here somewhere. It's like you're a chameleon. Every time I see you, you look different. Good to see you. And I want to thank Visit Baltimore. I want to thank Councilman Pete Welch for being here with us. Tom Stoser, who's in disguise as well, my Director of Planning. And I want to thank Jane Schaub and the members of the Board of Director of Poe Baltimore. I want to welcome you and thank all of you as we reopen the oldest and most historically significant house in which Edgar Allan Poe lived. And this place has significance to me on many different levels. Yes, as Doreen mentioned, as many of you, I studied Poe certainly at Western High School, but the name itself, Poe, rings true to me and is in my heart for other reasons as well. And I want to thank the residents, some of the residents here from the Poe homes, because that was the place where my father grew up, right down the street in the Poe homes. And this neighborhood and this community has a special place in my heart, and I'm so pleased that the lovers of Edgar Allan Poe from around this city, state, and the world are making sure that his legacy is preserved in partnership. And that's one of the things that I love about Baltimore, the quirkiness and the fun part of Baltimore. We have Edgar Allan Poe, we have a Raven and cognac, all before noon. So, good stuff. So as I mentioned, as Doreen mentioned, no city has a stronger connection to Edgar Allan Poe than Baltimore. He's buried here, he lived here, he even claimed to have been born here, and thousands of visitors from around the world come each year to Baltimore to see this house. And with its reopening, we're giving the people a chance to walk, think, and dream in the same space that Edgar Allan Poe hosted. That he lived in, that has hosted people for 180 years ago. Baltimore, he was known, yes, for his writing, but also, for the relationships that he had with people in the city at that time. So it is, I think, a fitting tribute to be able to continue that legacy. This is an exciting time for Baltimore, and I want to again thank all of the lovers of Poe and Baltimore's history for working in partnership to make this happen. Part of the new normal in our country today is finding new ways of doing things, finding new ways to create partnerships so the city and organizations and individuals can work together to preserve legacies. And because we know in this new normal after the Great Recession, city government cannot do it all alone. And when the conversation about how we would preserve and continue the legacy of Poe started, and we started to hear from people not just in Baltimore and in Maryland, but literally all over the world, who have a deep and abiding appreciation for Poe and what he means in literary history. I knew at that point we would get that critical mass. We would get that concentration of support that we would need in order to preserve this legacy. And I'm proud to stand here as we embark on this new partnership and a new chapter for Edgar Allan Poe. So again, Kristen, I want to thank you and all your board members, and thank you all for being here. And I think we're about to do our toast. All righty. Thank you. So, and do you want to do one first or me first?
all you.
All right. So in honor of the former Poe toaster and Poe himself, I'd like to raise a glass of Martell Cognac to Poe, to honor him and the Poe enthusiasm in Baltimore and around the world. To Poe, as we stand in front of the house where he once lived, wrote, and loved. Thank you. All right, so now we have the symbolic passing of Poe from the city of Baltimore to Poe Baltimore Incorporated, and your very able representative. You don't know how hard I had to fight to make this a stuffed raven and not a real one. I'm telling you, the Poe enthusiasts they were very insistent, but I didn't trust the little bird. So this one I trust. So with this, I pass the Poe House from the city of Baltimore to Poe Baltimore Incorporated. God bless you and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. At this time, I'd like to invite everybody to enjoy some refreshments in the back. I'll be taking the mayor through the house, and then in about a little bit, the house will be open for tours, and we welcome you inside to take a look at what we've been up to for the last year.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't go away. We will be right back. Welcome to my house, the Poe House. And for me, it really is the Poe House. You see, I never made barely a thing off my works when I was alive. Now, others have profited from my works. You see, others are still profiting from my works to this day. Alas, almost everyone but myself. And here is a good compilation of my works by Avenel Publishing Company. And I'm going to be reading some selections from this book for you today. The Raven. Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly, I wished the morrow. Vainly, I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. That it is, and nothing more." Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door. The scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat there is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here, I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but, with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. Perched and sat, and nothing more. Then, this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the continence it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, grassly grim, an ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me, what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore?" Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing a bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store. Caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore. Till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, never more. But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl, whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease, reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he has sent thee, respite and nepenthe from the memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if, within the distant Aidenn, it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign in parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above the door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting. Still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't go away. We will be right back. Annabel Lee. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love which was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
And here I am now with Courtney Wilson, who's the executive director of the B&O Railway Museum in Baltimore. And you're also on the board of Poe Baltimore, is that right?
I am as of yesterday.
Great, great. And is there a relationship between the B&O and Poe Baltimore?
Absolutely, we're best neighbors ever, right down the street. And actually, historically, Edgar took a train trip from the location of the museum out to Ellicott City to visit with his friend John Pendleton Kennedy in 1833.
And he probably rode the rails many other times that aren't documented.
No
right?
doubt about it.
Yeah.
In fact, he was taking a train back to New York from Richmond when he was found in Baltimore and ultimately died.
Great. And how many people do you have on an average weekend at the B&O?
At the B&O, gosh, we'll have anywhere from 600 to 800 people come through.
Wow. And you think a lot of those will be coming over here to the Poe House?
We're going to promote the Poe House very heavily and hope that our visitors who come from around the world will take the time to come over and see this.
Great. And how far is it from here?
It's literally 6 blocks away, 6 blocks north.
Great. And what was your involvement with the efforts to get the Poe House back open?
Well, I like to call the B&O Museum a midwife on this project because we were actually hired by the city of Baltimore to create the new nonprofit, to redo the interior of the house, design exhibits, and help get the house reopened. And that's what we've been doing for the past year.
And how can people help with these efforts?
Well, the house is going to be open thanks to a grant from Free Fall Baltimore through the month of October. And then Poe Baltimore needs to go out and raise significant funding so that they can become a sustainable organization in the city. And I'm going to help them do that. Everyone needs to help them do that. Donations can be made on the website, which is www.poe.baltimore.org. And of course, there's a mailing address there and things for checks. And we'll be doing fundraisers. We'll be doing some events around town, and all that's going to go toward keeping the house open.
Okay, and a little while ago we witnessed the symbolic passing of the raven from the mayor of Baltimore to Poe Baltimore.
I happen to have that very famous raven right here in my hand.
Yes, very nice, very
And
nice.
For years, the For years, the city of Baltimore, 30 years, operated this house. And because of budgetary constraints, the city made a decision last year about this time that they could no longer sustain the operation of the house. And that's how all this got started. And it's just been a labor of love for us at the B&O, and it's been a labor of love for the city. And we've worked together hand in hand to create this new, grand, reinvented and reimagined attraction for Baltimore.
And how do you feel about how things went today?
It was a perfect day, weather, sun. Maybe
Turnout?
it would have been better. Turnout was terrific. Maybe it would have been better on a cloudy day with thunder and lightning in the background.
Yeah.
But just the same, it was a wonderful, wonderful ceremonial morning.
Great.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my reading here today, and that about wraps it up this time. And goodbye for now. I hope we'll see you again soon.